I would like to ask the first question to Ms. Tanjila Tozrin. So, as you all know that Bangladesh apparel industry has made a significant improvements after the Rana Plaza in next 1 decade or 10 years. In spite of all of that, actually, what are the measures you think manufacturers and brand can take to ensure the growth to achieve sustainability and ethically in light of the labor rights and working conditions? So, how the brands and manufacturers could work together, and what are the areas there is further scope of improvement, you think?
Thank you very much. First of all, I like to thank the Bangladesh Apparel Exchange for inviting me in such an esteemed panel. It has been a long journey with the Bangladesh Apparel Exchange and the Netherlands Embassy. So I really also want to hear from the other panelists here and as well as the audience. Because, as you mentioned, it has been a very long journey. And there has been ups and downs, and with the manufacturers and the brands, the workers, employers, as well as the government has gone through a different kind of journey at different times. There has been global challenges, regional challenges, and also domestic challenges over which Bangladesh the sector itself has come through. So I'd like to first applaud that achievement for that. So big congratulations for being the second largest exporter. But when I say this, there's also a sadness in me as a Bangladeshi saying why we are still not the first, Bangladesh is still not the first exporter, garments exporter. So that is another journey. That is another 10 years, next 10 years journey. And I see that, all around the stakeholders who are here, more or less everybody is geared towards making that journey. We've learned from the Rana Plaza incident, learned a lot in terms of what investment in social compliance means. Because investment in social compliance, the return is never zero. There is always a bigger return which is intangible. So in that sense, in the coming 10 years, what we can say, our support and our commitment towards making the apparel sector and the textile sector more compliant will continue through our various initiatives to make it more decent. What we can only say is in the next 10 years, the journey is also going to be quite bumpy at the same time, because Bangladesh is also going to transition from a least developed country. And that transition would mean doing business in a different way. So you have to future-proof the businesses. And what do you do to future-proof your business? Firstly, to continue investing in compliance, and at the heart of all your growth is the workers. And ensuring a decent working environment and safety for the workers is imperative. There's no alternative for that, because it's not only an option, but it's also related to becoming more compliant and earning more at the same time. So from our side, what we can only emphasize is it's important to continue investing in social compliance, particularly to make the workers more engaged, employers engaged, follow a tripartism process, promote dialogue, because dialogue at the end of the day is not only just a dialogue, it is a means to various conversations as well. That's all we can say for now, and once again, all the best to the stakeholders from the workers, employers, brands, continue investing and to continue the commitment for decent work, because you will not get your return without the best of your workers. And the workers who are working are quite enough, and they will eventually demand for a better workplace in coming days as well. So with that, I'll conclude. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, Ms. Tanjila Tawzeen, for sharing your valuable insights and also promising the commitments from the embassy for the sustainable journey of the industry. So I would like to ask the next question to Mr. Tamir, Director of Pacific Jeans. So we more often than not, we hear that we are going through many challenges. The situation of the manufacturers are having a growth, and where actually the strength lies, if you kindly share.
Well, I wouldn't just attribute these growths just to how we're going about our business as usual. This is not really business as usual. It has not been since the pandemic, nor has it been, it's not going on as of right now. As you've rightly said, that energy prices has risen, almost 120 times its usual cost. So the first thing I would like to address, as entrepreneurs in Bangladesh, we are very resilient by nature. We have been resilient not in the past 2 years, but if I speak of, say, someone like my father or someone from that ilk of the generation that defined RMG in Bangladesh, as we are the second largest exporter for ready-made garments. This is a title we have actually earned, over a long period of time. I think that is the key thing to remember here, because all these things, all these horrendous disasters like Rana Plaza, like Tazrin Fashion, these have strengthened us as entrepreneurs. They have strengthened our commitment to the future, strengthened our will to actually provide the best quality products with the most responsibility we can take. So I think one important thing to remember going forward is that how we see this growth happening in the future. That will come from the people, that will come from the brands that empower us, that will come from the partners we have. Like, for example, we have Genealogia, we have Officiana here with us, wonderful companies who are empowering us and who are helping us in partnering and actually bringing more sustainability into our system and our products. And we have wonderful brands like G-Star, we have Bestseller. So we have a very good stakeholders, and we have very good government agencies, like you've said, that, the Netherlands government, the embassy, they help us in various projects, and the GIZ as well. So it's an ecosystem that is actually fueling this. And, yes, we are dependent. We are dependent in the sense that we are going to face many challenges coming in ahead of us. But I think as a country, we must remember that every country has its own challenges. And the way we are going to approach this is by actually adding value, adding our expertise, what we have earned over these years, and actually as entrepreneurs being as flexible and as adaptable as possible. Because in this day and age, I think consumer behavior is changing fundamentally, and we must come to terms with that. And that's just how it is. But saying that, what we've faced in the past, this has actually, taught us a lot. And this has actually prepared us in ways and means we cannot really imagine. And I think that going forward with the help of all our partners, we can and we will achieve the growth required. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So before asking the next question to our panelists, I would like to come back to audience and get you vote that what is the strength of Bangladesh apparel industry, you think? Option A, the resilient entrepreneurs. How many of things that it is the strength of Bangladesh apparel industry or the reason behind our export? If you kindly raise your hands. Okay, only one person. Oh, several. And the reason for the recent growth, how many you thinks that good safety standards is a cause, or the good safety standards is the reason behind our recent growth? Please. Okay. And how many of you think the cheap labor is the reason for the growth? Only one. So very interesting. And the last one, how many of you think that sustainability or the green garments is the reason for our recent growth? Okay. So I think the panelists also take considerations of this vote from the audience and their observation regarding the growth. And my next question is to Mr. Vinier Andrea, Managing Director of Officina Plus 39. So, in the discourse of apparel sustainability, we often hear the need or balance between sustainability and profitability. So, what do you think? What role can innovation play in achieving the balance between profitability and sustainability?
Thank you, Mr. Mostafiz and all the organization to invite us to this panel. Here I will start to say you use two words, sustainability and profitability. I start from the second one because it looks strange to say, but we are here for a business expo, so we are here to make it. It looks strange, it looks sometimes that we are saying something wrong, but we have to keep in mind we are here to make profit. This is why we are making business, other way. And I want to start from this because then, of course, I like a lot this question because I think last year here making one presentation, I gave some of our experience in Italy where we are really like the words of balance. And we are inspired by an artist in Italy, the name is Michelangelo Pistoletto, The Third Paradise, where he's working a lot on the balance concept between the opposite. So, sustainability is important. We are talking during the last years and the next future for sure. But this is the point, how we can create the balance between these two words. I think it's nothing wrong if we are making profit. This is our business, but how we can do it. I think the words that we have to add to these concepts is ethics. Ethics is what can drive us, guide us to make the balance between these two words. Sustainability. So sustainability means how we can improve from the economical point of view, from the social point of view, and respecting the planet, making better developments for the planet, for the industry, but mainly for the people that is living in the planet. And I think ethics is the right word that can condense this concept. If we are working, thinking, having in mind the planet and the people, I think we are doing the right job. And this is the challenge that we are facing. And the second part of the question is also interesting, is innovation. And personally, I think the innovation is the way to combine all these three words. Because innovation is the way that permits us to reduce our impact. All the technologies, really, the last 10 years, I think the technological industry, from the machinery, from the chemicals view, hello? Yes. Developed a lot of new technologies that can help to reduce the impact in the industry. We are working with customers who really believe in this, that are investing a lot during the last years in these new technologies, and really so we can touch it. Ethics can permit to work with this mentality and create, through innovation, profit. This is, I think, is the way where we have to address our efforts for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing insights. And yeah, in sustainability, you think there are 3 P's: people, planet, and sometimes we miss the third P, that is profitability. So that's also a very important pillar of the sustainability. So my next question is Mr. Dr. Mike and Claude, Project Coordinator Style GIZ. The apparel industry of Bangladesh is still now operating in a linear model, but recently we are having much discussion on the importance of the circular model. So why do you think circular model or the shift towards circular model is important to Bangladesh apparel industry? And what are the challenge you think to drive or to adopt the circular model?
Thank you, Omar. Thank you also for being member of this panel. My name is Michael. I work for GIZ. We don't buy or we don't produce denim. So maybe I can just briefly explain what we are. We are the implementing organization for the German Technical Development Corporation. So we are here in Bangladesh working with the government, but also with private stakeholders like the association and others. We have been involved in the textile industry for the last 20 years. So I think we do carry a little bit of leverage in that relation as well. We're very happy to be here supporting the Bangladesh Apparel Exchange's events, and we are looking forward already to the Circularity Summit that the Embassy of the Netherlands and Bangladesh Apparel Exchange is organizing in mid of June. All right, I think circularity or circular economy has a bit the risk to fall in the same buzzword category as sustainability. So I think it's about high time that we try to imagine what it really means. And of course, it has, if we take it seriously, a paradigm shift in underneath. And of course, that is not something that will happen, especially in the textile industry, overnight. But we do feel the pressure from European regulations, for example, and other, let's say, framework arrangements. So I do think it makes sense to discuss and see what can be done. In Bangladesh, I think for the textile or MG industry in general, the post-industrial waste is one of the most relevant topics, so we need to acknowledge the technological boundaries. In Bangladesh, we only have mechanical recycling possibilities. There are no chemical possibilities at this stage. In general, that's not yet so easy, so we do need to anticipate maybe a little bit technological forthcomes. With the jute, we have a separate challenge that we're trying to address together with H&M and other stakeholders. And that is the policy framework. We all know that it's a bit of a sensitive topic, but there are intermediate, informal traders that are involved in distributing or selling the post-industrial waste, and that is something that we feel the government of Bangladesh would benefit to address in a constructive way, not to threaten anyone, but it's a relevant topic. In that line, and maybe connecting to what the previous speakers have already said, I do feel that we are entering, and that's where also circularity takes place, into a space for Bangladesh where the LDC graduation, due diligence requirements from international fields, spheres, and the technological development around circular economy are somehow floating in together. And I do think that's a task that all stakeholders in the industry have a role to play, and it makes sense to be profitable and to be anticipating these developments. That's why we're very happy to support BGMA and BKMA, for example, in installing a help desk regarding due diligence requirements and many other activities that we do. I would like to wrap up a little bit with 3 things that I feel brands, producers and the government could address in this general topic where these 3 topics combine. I do feel that the buyers could contribute in sending their CSR teams together with their sourcing teams. I think that is something that even within brands sometimes is not completely ethically described, and then we face these very nice, very genuine RSC discourses, and we don't see what is happening in the sourcing moments. The second thing regarding the producers, I do feel that the role of supervisors could be a very interesting example of where there is scope for improvement. In Bangladesh, supervisors are not considered workers, and you have all visited production lines, and you see that obviously the supervisor does not have a supervisory role in this organization, which means that he or she will not get overtime benefits. Exceptions probably are there, but in theory, by law, they would not have access to overtime benefits and other benefits. Freedom of association will be something that they also will not be participating for. This is a risk under a due diligence perspective, right? And we could anticipate that. Maybe we don't even need so many supervisors. Again, I'm not trying to provide answers. I'm just trying to raise a question. It is not easy to understand why the definition of the industry excludes supervisors from these positions. And we see then all the brands doing this very nice women empowerment projects, but if the supervisor role is not attractive, then it will never include a growth in a career perspective of a woman or a man in that case. And the third one regarding the government and the trade anticipation of whatever, EU access through GSP Plus or so, I do think that this sector, and we have to acknowledge it somehow, is heavily subsidized. So the people of Bangladesh are giving their input into this industry much more than only being workers. And under a WTO framework, some cash incentives or subsidies might not be accurate anymore. So I know it's a very heavy topic, but I do think it makes sense as a government to start anticipating what that means, right? Because at the end, when it happens, nobody will care whether we are prepared or not. So let's try to be prepared already by now. Sorry for extending myself, but that's my message. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael, especially for sharing 3 important points to promote circular fashion in Bangladesh. Now, of course, circularity will be the next growth potential for Bangladesh apparel industry. And my next question is to Mr. Azizur Rahim Chaudhary, Managing Director, GM Fabrics Limited. And the common word we often hear that collaboration between brands and manufacturers is the key for sustainable growth of the industry. But I would like to hear from you that where actually and how the manufacturers and brands can collaborate to ensure sustainable and ethical practice in the apparel industry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the question. It's an honor to be up here with such a privileged panel and to have this audience in front. I would like to shed some light from my point of view as a manufacturer on how brands and manufacturers or industrialists can collaborate to promote sustainability initiatives. So basically, sustainability, when we talk about sustainability, like previously already brought up, there's 3 Ps, but we always only focus on the environmental aspect of sustainability. We always think sustainability means doing for the planet, having products that are less polluting, having products that are more eco-friendly, etc. But we never actually look at the other parts of sustainability. That is it a business proposition that works? Is it something that's possible for the brands and for the manufacturers? A lot of times as manufacturers, we feel the pressure that, okay, used to make this in conventional cotton, from next season this will go up to, this will move to organic cotton or BCI or something else, and it has to be cost neutral. We will not pay you any extra for this sustainability addition that you will give. So I'm not blaming anyone or pointing the finger at anyone, but as a world citizen, we need to understand that if we provide something that's sustainable, there's a cost that comes along with it. There's a monetary value for that. So if a brand wants their manufacturers to be more green, they need to invest in better ETPs, they need to invest in recycling technologies, they need to buy fibers that are more expensive. So that comes along with a cost. But what's happening now is, because of the fast fashion trend and the trend of providing garments at a very cheap price, a lot of the times the brands are selling garments for very cheap on the high street, and the consumer is not really necessarily asking that. The consumer can pay $5 instead of $1 for a t-shirt. But a lot of brands are selling 10 packs for $10 or $15, something like this. And then this pressure is being passed on to the manufacturers, which actually makes it very difficult to accommodate these sustainable technologies. Therefore, what I would suggest as a manufacturer myself is, if the manufacturer gets some sort of commitment from the customers that, okay, make an investment in an ETP that recycles 70% of the water that you use. In that case, I guarantee you business for the next 5 years, and I'm not going to move this business to another supplier who's providing me this for 10 cents cheaper than you. In that case, this manufacturer can build that cost into their costing and pass it on to the brand, who can actually pass it to the consumer, because we know there has been a lot of research done that consumers are willing to pay a little bit higher for sustainable products. However, the brands do not want to go to the consumer with an upcharge, even if it's sustainable. So the first thing I would say would be that there needs to be sustainability is not free, it has a cost, and the cost needs to be shared not only by the manufacturer, but the brand as well as the manufacturer, and eventually pass it on to the consumer. Like VAT is done. Value-added tax is paid by the end consumer, and it flows through the entire chain. So it should be a concept similar to that. Secondly, we need to educate the consumer. If we look at some figures I have here in front of me, in the last 10 years, medical care has gone up by 2.8%. Food and beverage has gone up by 1.8%. Personal care products has gone up by 1.4%. Clothing has gone up by 0.4%. So clothing is always lagging here. And some of the brands, it's just an overall psyche that everyone has that clothing needs to be cheap. But actually, by making clothes cheap, what's happening is we're contributing more to wastage. People are buying clothes because they're cheap, they use it once or twice and throw it away, and that's creating more waste in general. So if we can make clothing a little more expensive, where you pay for the sustainability, when someone buys that piece of clothing, they will take better care of it. They will appreciate that piece of clothing more than throwing it away because it was $1.20. Doesn't matter, I'll buy another one. It's cheaper to buy a new t-shirt than to wash this one in some cases, you know. So according to Greenpeace, the average person buys 60% more items of clothing every year and keeps them for half as long as they used to 15 years ago. So that is contributing to this enormous textile waste that we see everywhere. So education of the consumer is very, very important. And another thing is Bangladesh has come a long way, as we were discussing throughout the panel discussions today, that in 2013, when the Rana Plaza disaster happened, it was one of the darkest days of our history. But at that time, there were 6,000 factories that were active. Now there are 3,500 garment factories that are active. So those 3,000 factories have been shut down. It's not the same Bangladesh that it used to be 15 years ago. We have come a long way. So the country image that we have as a nation, we are not a cheap manufacturer. We are not producing in sweatshops. In fact, our factories are closer to 5-star hotels than they are to sweatshops. But this is not broadcast into the rest of the world. So my request to all the stakeholders here, all my colleagues on stage is, please take this message that Bangladesh is not a cheap manufacturing, bad environment where kids are made to stitch garments, where women are sitting in the heat and making garments. Rather, focus on the good things that we are doing, and automatically, I think then there will be a collaboration between the manufacturers and the brands can then proudly represent Bangladesh as a partner for manufacturing. Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, with taking note from the point shared from the Mr. Ajur Rohim Chaudhary, I will come to the brands now. And as he said, we are also hearing that new generation consumers, like the Generation Z or millennials, they are now making very conscious choices. And what we understand, it is also brands' responsibility to make them educate and conscious. So my question to you that as consumers are becoming more conscious for their fashion choices, what strategies are the apparel brands using to respond to the changing consumer preferences and behaviors? Thank you.
Thank you for questions. It's a good question. Before answering your question, I would like to share one information. Last month, we invited all of our vendors, global vendors, to our headquarters, and then we shared 10 trophies to all the vendors, and out of 10, 5 trophies owned by Bangladeshi vendors. And environmental champion was a Bangladeshi vendor, social champion was Bangladeshi vendors, and the best quality award, lowest quality return award, all those key awards got by Bangladeshi vendors. So it's a great achievement for Bangladesh apparel. To come to your questions, generally, let's say if we talk about the brand, uh, let's say customers or consumers, they first of all they need to know the brand and then they need to love the brand. And generally, how they become loyal once they put their trust. I mean, once they trust the product, and same time once they feel the product or feel the brand. So how consumer trust the product? Generally, the material used to make the product, where brands are sourced, and how people were taken care or whole process was taken care. So that way, brand can win the trust from the consumers. And same time, brands need to do some extra initiative. That's why consumer can feel proud of wearing that brand. So let's say we used to believe product is leading to win the consumer's mind, but nowadays it's not. So it is more than just the product. So what I believe, two things definitely important. Number one, put trust on the product, and brand has to do something extra rather than product. What consumer feel about it. These two part is more important to change the consumer's behavior and strategy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Shafur Rahman. So my next question is to Mr. Manoj Kanchan, Divisional Director, Central Asia Genealogia. So we know Genealogia is one of the market leaders bringing latest technology. So my question to you that how can innovation in materials and manufacturing process drive growth? And can you also share some examples of successful implementation of such innovations?
Hello. So thank you very much for a question. A very, very valid question in today's time. And very thankful to the organizers and very nice panel to share the information. Number one, I would like to say that Bangladesh, people are saying is second exporter, but I would like to say that Bangladesh is number one denim supplier to US and number one denim supplier to Europe. So there is already a big number one. When we are talking about a Denim Expo, it's not an easy task, you know. So people talk about Rana Plaza and Tazreen. I think we have left it way behind basically. Overcoming that and becoming number one as a big trust from the industry towards Bangladesh. And today we can proudly say that Bangladesh is the only hub which will be there for next 2 decades very easily basically. Saying that, there is also a big need to change. This is something which is there. And here I would like to say, you know, I always believe a typical bow and string, you know, as an example basically. If you want to unleash the potential, probably you have to take the string back basically. And I think today in the area where we have a lot of oversupply or slow moving inventory, or because of different, you know, challenges in the supply chain, we are a little bit slow right now. It's the right time to analyze and work on 2 aspects. One is upgrade. I think it's the right time to upgrade. And upgrade does not mean that you have a big investment or a small investment. Upgrade is the must to unleash the potential. And second is expand. Expand means wherever you are, basically to expand to the next best basically that you can do. In terms of the changes which has happened in the materials, in the technologies, I will say that technology has played a very important role in Bangladesh in last decade. I will say still that Bangladesh as a hub overall globally has the maximum investment in any technology which is available worldwide today. Be it a digital printing, be it the best of seamless technology, or be it the best of knit dyeing and plant, or be the best in the laser or ozone. I think we have the maximum investment as a country done here. So that is one of the biggest changes you see on the production process basically. The process which were there 10 years back was more manual driven, was more using technology which are using more water, more chemicals. So when we are talking about sustainability and profitability, I will say sustainability brings profitability. When you are going to work in a sustainable way means that you are going to deliver more using less resources. Yes, there is a cost of investment. So what we need to discuss is a big collaboration between the brands, between the manufacturers, between the suppliers basically. If we can link from the fabric to the product and between the demand from the market to the manufacturing, this collaboration with a transparent way will be the real, and the potential will be, it's like never ending potential basically. So this something can be done with technology, with upgradation, and mind you, like today we are going to enter this millennial and Gen Z and e-commerce, which will be AI driven. The data will be more important than the mind basically. So we are not prepared. So digital washes, digital sampling, these are the things which are already present. People have started using it. There has been success in the process. So I will say some of the good examples are already in the panel basically. You know, Pacific Jeans is one of the great example to the whole world that how denim can be brought to Bangladesh, successfully delivered and grown to the new high level basically. So that's what I would like to say, that possibly technology, application and upgradation. Upgradation does not mean only technology. I think we need to train the team. The skill set needs to change. We cannot wait for next 10 years to bring the new revolution. The pace of change is going to be so fast that those who are not able to copy will be lagging behind basically. But we have all the tools, all the things, all the mindset, all the visions of the entrepreneurs, all the trust of the brands available here. So to me, the potential is going to be immense, and sustainability will bring profitability also. That's the right balance. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And also, thank you for bringing the point of e-commerce. And my next question is also related to this point of e-commerce to Mr. Dishan Karurathe, Chief Representative, Bestala. So we are listening that brick and mortar stores are decaying, and especially during the COVID, we also saw that virtual or online sales have been very popular. So my question to you is, with the rise of the e-commerce and social media, how can apparel brands leverage technology to drive sales growth and also to increase customer loyalty?
Thank you very much. I think this question should be answered with different angles, because it's very difficult to answer this in one angle itself. To be honest with you, like, bestseller today represents 30% of his buying online, digitally, 30%. Right? So, I mean, we are doing this, and we have our own e-commerce business across 21 plus brands. And then we have our own partner online platforms, to name it Zalando, ASOS, and About You. So we own a stake in that and a major share of that. So, I mean, we have the access to those markets. And apart from this, there's another 3,000 small online platforms which we use today to buy. But unfortunately, I mean, there are things changed. I mean, in a way, like, and I think COVID has been a blessing. That's how I see it. Because we learned a lot of new things, right? And we never used so much of Zoom, so much of team calls, right? Which we learned how to deal with it, right? Almost 3 years, we deal with the technology. And we developed business, we grew business. For an example, the first year of COVID, we grew in Bangladesh 20%. Second year of COVID, we grew another 30%. Last year, we grew 50%. But that was a real nice story, because we keep growing. This is the support of online business. But today, if you really look at it, like, everybody has a lot of stocks. As a result of this, like, our buying has reduced a bit, because we need to get rid of the stocks. The good thing about it is, from bestseller point of view, we don't come back to our manufacturers and tell, oh, we have stocks, I mean, we have a problem, we need a discount or something like that, which we don't do. And we keep it in our warehouse. If it is not relevant, we'll keep it to the next season and then sell it. So that is our strategy. And on the other hand, like, one need to understand, like, digital business is a good business to have. And e-commerce business is super good business to have, because it's easy business. And in terms of Bangladesh, if I look at it, are we fully ready for this? That is the question I always ask for myself. For an example, I will tell you, like, in the last 6 months, I was trying to recruit 2 3D designers. And I have not been successful yet. To get to the level of, because what happens is, what we are trying to do is set up a 3D setup within our office to develop our partners. because without having the right capability, it is difficult for us to do it. So I'm still searching for it. And if you have any contacts, anybody who you know, please send the contact, because we really, really desperately need this. And in fact, I have spent 100,000 euros just to bring a 3D scanner and to the office, and also in the claw kit and anti-claw setup. So we are investing company money doing this, just because we believe Bangladesh is our destination, because Bangladesh is today taking 40% of our entire sourcing. And we are here for long haul, and we will continue to grow because company is growing, and we will grow with the Bangladesh as well. But of course, Bangladesh has to deliver so many other things. I think one of the major tasks and challenges what I see in Bangladesh is design, product development, and innovation, and on the product side. Right. I think on the washing side, we have seen so much happening, but on the product side, have we got close to Turkey? We haven't yet, but we have potential. We have identified a couple of suppliers who can do this for us. But I mean, can we get more suppliers onto this trend? Because one thing is, I mean, I believe personally, we can create this new Turkey route. If you look at single jerseys, how fast we can be. Can we do it in 2 weeks? Yes, we can do it, because we are fully vertical. Right? Denim, we can do it very fast. 4 weeks turnaround is not impossible. Right? So knitwear, again. So these are our key strengths. So we have to make it, keep pushing on our strengths. On the other hand, we need to start looking at how do we move up in the value chain. For an example, like, how much of business we do on outerwear? Right? Near to nothing. So I think this is an industry which we can embark on. Then tailoring. We do some, but not as much as we do on the other categories. So I think we need to start moving up in the value chain. This is what we should, as Bangladesh, should be focusing on. And of course, like, in order to do this, we need to have little bit more backward linkage to this. So I mean, we don't have that much of polyester dyeing and finishing and things like that. So this is a bit of a challenge. So we all have talked about sustainability and all that. One thing I need to conclude is sustainability and circularity is a nice thing to have in the past. It is not anymore nice thing to have. It is some need to have. I think we need to understand this, because EU, if whoever work with EU, I mean, very soon there's a lot of legislation coming through. Durability laws, transparency laws, clear transparency is very, very important. And so therefore, like, are we ready? So we need to look at these areas, because we have already created digital QR codes on our care labels, so which we can track it. Otherwise, you will end up having 1 meter long care label, because the amount of information it's asking, you cannot deliver. So I think, having said all this, I think we all talk about sustainability in different forms. I think sustainability is something that need to have, not nice to have. There was a time it was nice to have. And people who are in the forefront and build a lot of green factories, we have 196 of them. And this is coming to good play when come to 2025. Because, I mean, all those factories will deliver different level of product, because you are already environmentally friendly. So that will pay off by then. So having said this, like, I mean, digital transformation is a very important thing for our business. I think we all have to work hard at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So now the floor is open to the audience, and we would also like to hear questions from you. If any of you have the question to the panelists, our volunteers are, So our volunteers are there to give you the microphones. So if you just, first, before asking the question, if you just tell your name and the organization you are serving.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I am Refat. I work for the Daily Star, and I am also the president of Economic Reporters Forum, ERF. I work for the Daily Star, and I mainly cover the garment and textile industry. Almost all are known to me, known faces. So thank you again. I have a very small question. You have already discussed it. Bangladesh use a lot of water for washing a pair of jeans. Although nowadays the millers have been using the latest technology for using less water. Like I have already told a lot of millers here, manufacturers, they said that they can wash a pair of jeans with only 14 or 15 liter of water, which was previously 360 liter of water. So this is a good example of technology upgradation. My question to you, local manufacturers, are you being paid a good price for using the valuable water for washing and dyeing purpose? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think Mr. Tami would like to answer the question.
Thank you for the question. I think that yes, we do get paid, but as we are getting paid, but also it's important to emphasize that when it comes to using less water or conserving the environment, that we focus also on the product itself, because we cannot really degrade the product in the process. So keeping that in mind, and also the brands, we have the support of our brands to, I think they understand this subject. I think now this has become common knowledge for everyone, all the stakeholders, in terms of how you can actually do this by actually conserving the environment. So I think now we are at a stage that we do get the good prices in compared to before. And I think even in cases where you don't, I think the volume makes up for it. So thank you.
So, next question. Yeah. So, if you kindly also tell your names and organizations before asking the question.
Good afternoon. This is Abdullah Mamun from MDL Group. My question is to Mr. Tahmir, Pacific Jeans. Ms. Tanjila, in her discussion, he mentioned we are second exporter and we are going to be number one, and it's next 10-year journey. So accordingly, we already set up a target. We are going to be $100 billion export by 2030. So do you think by considering the present situation, electricity, cash and other banking facilities and transport facilities, is it possible? And we have another question to Mr. Disan. Please quote it. Basically, you are now in the chief representative bestseller. I have experience to work with the bestseller before starting in the office in Bangladesh. I worked through bestseller through trading house. So my question is, you told you are not getting the same taste but same product development like the Turkish. My question, you are paying the same price what you paying in the Turkey, same as in Bangladesh? Because I worked in 2010, the CM I got, that time the worker salary was like below 3,000, now more than 8,000 taka NPT, it is $100 more. But either are you paying the same thing? I don't get the same FOB or CM from them. When you are quoted the price, you big retailer, they are considering like the other customer like Lidl, Aldi. When we are talking about the CM, everyone is quoting this is $1 or 90 cent price. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so actually we have a fresh panel discussion on the target of 100 billion that's set by BGME by the year 2030. But yeah, I think if Mr. Tami also can touch upon something.
I'd like to say that yes, we have, as a country, we have a lot of adversity, we have a lot of challenges. that we are facing, and there are no two ways around it. However, in terms of how the governments are structuring their policies, now it is becoming challenging. However, I think that going forward, it is forums and it is discussions, continued discussions with the government that will enable us to reach our target, and with the stakeholders and with all the brands, the partners. I think knowledge in this particular subject will actually help us to actually attain to our target. That is the right approach. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next question to Mr. Dishan. So always difficult question, whether the price or quality, which come first? So yeah.
If you talk about a buyer's point of view, product is the king. The product is right, there is a price for it. That is how it is. And the question was answered like in a whether we have paid better prices. Yes, to answer that question. Year on year, our prices, what we have paid for suppliers, our partners, have been increased. And last couple of years, we probably have increased our prices by about 6 to 8%. I mean, which is very, very reasonable at the FOB price, in my opinion. So we absorb majority of the material cost increases. And of course, when you are in a business, you are partners. So you got to keep this partnership together. And one thing is as Bangladesh, I'm not from Bangladesh, but I'm half Bangladeshi. And I love this country because, I have been living here for some time. And only thing is we as Bangladeshis, we should understand the mentality of how the Western world is looking at us. So we need to improve our communication and what we talk about, right? And we should focus on getting the right product, and then there's a price for it. Not necessarily we will pay Turkey price to Bangladesh, because Turkey has a different cost element. Right? Turkey is quite an expensive place, and in comparison to 6 times more wages than, or maybe 7 times more wages than Bangladesh today is. Right? So it's a different concept. But what I feel is, in order for us to get to a target, we are talking about 100 billion, it's not an easy one, but there are so many challenges across this. Why we have so much of stock? Because we had logistical nightmares last year. And we couldn't get enough containers to ship goods. The goods reached our warehouse 2 months late, or 3 months late in some cases. So then, it's not relevant anymore. So we have to push it back to the next year. So this is what happened. So we went through a huge transformation over the last few years. So I think with all this, I think we have come quite stronger. I think Bangladesh as an industry still have a huge future. And we just need to start looking at it a lot more positive, and without comparing things. We have to be focused on the future, which is development, getting the right product, and develop our design capabilities. And for an example, right, and can we do the same thing what China is doing today? Can we do the same thing what Turkey is doing today, right? So I think from our diplomatic commissions, maybe you should think about setting up a design school here. And then one of the top-notch design school here, and then support the industry here. I'm sure government will welcome all these kind of ideas, because we really need this. It's not about bringing machinery, because we have genealogy, everybody to support to get the right product done. But only thing is it's about the concept, whether we understand and have the same psychological impact of the Western world. So that we need to create. So I think we need to focus on these fronts, and the sustainability is a must-have thing. I'm again saying thing.
Yeah, so we can also take 2 more questions. So if anybody, so please tell your names and the questions, and also your name.
Hello, I am Sujoy. I represent Dystar, who is a manufacturer of textile chemicals and dyes. We are the oldest manufacturer of indigo dyes, which is going into denim. My question is a bit different. It's not a question also. I need to know from you, the whole across the value chain people are sitting here. When we talk about sustainability in terms of textile article, it starts from fiber, which is going to get changed. Then the chemicals being used, dyes being used needs to be changed because it needs more energy, more water and all these things. So those molecules needs to be changed. Then the process where it should not use much of water there, so the machine is going to get changed. But brands are telling, or maybe retailers are telling, that product should look the same as it as others. This cannot happen. There should be some change in it, right? Today, the electric cars do not behave in the same way as a petrol or diesel driven car. So customers must have been taken into confidence and they have made them aware that this is going to behave a different way, but this is the sustainable product. So are we missing that part, that we are not taking our customers in confidence and tell them there will be some change in aesthetic as well as article properties? Else we will be struggling always. That's my only question.
Okay, so I would like to hear on this point from Mr. Azizur Rahim Chaudhary and also from the bias perspective later on from Shafiur Rahman. Yes.
Sure. Thank you very much. A very relevant question for our industry. And this is something that we tell our customers, the brands, all the time. That when we're making a product out of recycled fiber, it's not going to act or feel the same way that a virgin fiber will act or feel. So therefore, the customer needs to be educated about that. And when I was also answering the question earlier, that was one of my points, that the customer needs to be educated, the end customer needs to be educated. And if we are able to do this in a successful way, it could be actually a selling point rather than a negative point, because people always prefer handmade products, for example. So there's a boutique touch or there's a personal touch to it. Likewise, when you have piece dyed, you put a hang tag that says every piece is dyed in a certain kind of process where each piece is unique and they will not be the same, all of them. So similarly, when we're using recycled fibers or some fibers that are more sustainable, they will have some advantages, which is they use less water, they pollute the environment less. When the crop is being farmed, it's not depleting the soil as much. We should highlight all those points to the end consumer, and that way they will not only be okay with the performance or the appearance of the product, but they might also be willing to pay a premium for that product, which can then be shared with the industry, encouraging the whole value chain to run after this more sustainable product category.
There is a dilemma, like more or less. So probably in apparel industry, everybody knows these two words. So in a sense, we need more. In other sense, we need less. So let's say we need more design, more innovation, because more can move the earth, move the world. But same time, we need less. We need to reduce the wastage, we need less water, we need to use less energy. Why? Because we need to keep alive. So from the brand perspective, what we believe, like we need to make a good blending, we need to find the optimum level of living, keep alive and also moving the earth. So let's say customer point of view, this is not wrong. If someone want more, and same time if someone want less. So from customer point of view, this is not wrong expectation from them. So it's a challenge for the brands, because end of the day we are the one who are facing the customers. So we believe, of course it depends on brands, we need to find our optimum level, what blending we should use in our product and supply chain to survive. Maybe that's the...
Yeah. Mr. Manoj, you also want to...
I would like to add a very important point here. Number one, there has not to be any comparison between a one way of process versus a new process. This is our issue with the mindset, that we are not ready for change. So one of the things of upgrade is to be not afraid of change. We cannot make the same garment which we are making by hand or stone using laser or ozone technology, number one. But what we are missing is it takes a big collaboration between a fabric, technology and the process together to deliver still a good aesthetic garment which is the fashion requirement. This is possible and this is happening. Was it possible 10 years back? No. I remember 2012 when we were talking about laser, people always said it's artificial, it's not going to work, the hand is more nice. But what has changed is the chemistry has changed. The fabric suppliers have understood that the new need can be that the indigo can be more on the yarn on the surface, so the laser can work more better. And the brands have understood the advantages that how the laser can help them get a quality product and more faster design implemented on the product. So today the product can be beautiful also, but if you compare always there will be, it's very difficult to say which side is better. So innovation in application is missing. It's very slow now. Innovation in technology is there, technologies are understood. But if we start working more on the application, we'll find out more advantages so that we can create still a more better product.
Thank you. So, any more questions from the floor? Yeah, so please share your name and also your company, then ask the question. So this is the last question we'll be taking.
So thank you. I know at Denim Expo we talk about product innovation a lot. I want to talk about something different as we have Ms. Tanzila and also Michael from GIZ and Netherlands Embassy. I know if we want to talk about the growth of the industry, we also have to work together, different stakeholders. So I know Netherlands Embassy and GIZ, they have a lot of programs and projects. For example, Embassy supporting entrepreneurs, and also for the industries, different aspects. GIZ have different projects too. If we talk about what kind of future projects and programs both as foreign government, Netherlands Embassy could do and GIZ can do in Bangladesh with the stakeholders involved, what are some of the focus areas that you guys think that are very important to do programs and projects on together to talk about the growth of the industry? Thank you.
Yeah. I think Michael first or Alice first.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. That is decided somewhere else. I'm not in the position to anticipate that, but we of course present proposals, and one of them is very closely related to circularity. GIZ is focusing on the textile sector among other topics. We also work in energy and climate change and urban development. So if producers win too many prizes on the international level, it's more difficult for us to keep working with the industry. So I hope that at some point we can say bye-bye. But I wanted to go a little bit back to what our boss of bestseller said in relation to the Netherlands. Let's propose a design center. We are here in a very privileged space, because in Bangladesh, this is a space of creativity, of meritocracy, and where you have access to profit, to thriving environments, etc. But how many more are there, right? And I mean, if we take the Daewoo experience from Dash Garments as a start of this industry, 44 years ago, it's been 44 years. So I think we can also challenge ourselves and our government to find other ways. Because if most of the producers fall sick, they go to Bangkok, they go to Singapore, they don't go to Chittagong or to Cox's Bazar, right? Service provision, education, health, it's about time. We have this world-class island, and of course we all agree that it is. What is hindering us from moving on? Again, I am almost as Bangladeshi as our colleague, so I really do added element that we can nurture here in this beautiful country. Thank you.
After Ms. Tanjila, we'll also hear from you.
Thank you for the question, and thanks, Michael, and all the panelists. Everyone has said a lot, but yes, the bilateral relationship between Netherlands and Bangladesh is also changing because Bangladesh is a dynamic market. As I said in the very beginning, it has come a long way. So what that means is we are focusing on becoming more equal partners, how to bring in more knowledge and trade with the Netherlands and Bangladesh. So it's also very timely to mention that we will continue focus on decent work agenda in Bangladesh. And what that means is aligning the EU national action plans that's been defined. So that would be imperative in coming years in our relationship. It also means that we will also focus on bringing in trading partnerships and technologies that has been expertise in Netherlands for a while. So design is definitely there, innovation is definitely there, and not to forget the skill set of the worker and the productivity. So that would be another focus as well, because as I mentioned, you cannot work without the workers, and you need to improve them, and you need to work on their skill set as well to achieve the next 10 years leg line. And in that, yes, believe circularity together with BAE, I think, and all the other stakeholders, circular business models would be imperative, and it would also focus, the next 10 years would also focus on the environmental compliances as well as the social compliances. And also to see how to improve the mic problem here, the electricity problem. So yeah, that's a joke in all essence. So definitely looking into the existing resources and optimizing them. But we will remain in terms of our commitment to towards decent work environment in Bangladesh.
Yeah, thank you. So, Mr. Dishan, I think you also like to add something. Volunteers, if you kindly look at the microphones, they are not working.
I think it's fine now, yeah? Yeah. I just would like to add something what Michael said, which is very important, because he was talking about the supervisors. This is about the middle management that in the factory, right? The level of understanding, education, intelligence, that will be the next leap for Bangladesh. Because developing this skill will help us. Because for an example, like in how efficient you can be in everything what you do. How do you optimize your resources? And for an example, like even the marker you do, how much efficient you can be. I know there are quite a few factories who are already in it, but we have so many thousands of factories who are not in it, right? So that we can be still competitive and bring the right product and make some savings back into it. There's a big question we always get as brands about the price. And what I would say is there are two things from bestseller point of view we have done. Number one, we have introduced a rating system, and by 2025, 75% of our products will be sourced, bought from highly rated suppliers. So we are creating the level playing field, so that nobody can come in and undercut and get a business. So that is one thing. And on the other hand, I think European legislation, which I felt should have happened a few years ago, and should have happened, and then once it's happened, so then it will create the level playing field. The people who are doing these sustainability initiatives, because this is, as I said, this need to have thing very soon. So then, the price will be paid for it. Because everybody in the same level, all the brands will be in the same level. Nobody can buy cheaper. And on the third point is we have created too much capacity in some of the other categories. And I think which I don't know how government is looking at it. I think we need to see that our category spread is a little bit more wider than more deeper in some areas, because that creates unnecessary competition, especially time like this. It drives the price down, so it becomes a buyer's market. So I think there are few things that we need to learn during all this. So I think, of course, everybody has to play a role in this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And we have among us Professor Dr. Momen. So we would also like to hear from Sir. Dr. Momen, as you know, is the professor from the IBA Dhaka University, also the former director of BGMEA, and also entrepreneur from the Pride Group. So, sir, we would like to hear from you. You comments where you think actually the Bangladesh apparel industry's next growth potential lies. So, if you just share you comments.
Thank you very much, but I was not expecting this. I came here as an audience to hear what the experts were saying for my own understanding. So anyway, you have asked me a question. I mean, see if I can answer that. We were talking about circularity that has become it's a necessity now that I understood, that I learned. I think going forward, that would be sustainability and circularity will be the thing to have. And I was just, hearing from Mr. Dishan, right, about are you having all the factories in the world rated like that? Would that be a unified rating system? So that probably would eliminate lot of our concerns that we always have, that we are being paid less as a country compared to others. So that way if you really do so, if that is a unified system for all the brands all over the world, then probably that is going to eliminate a lot of our, I would say, discontents that, many, I believe Tanvir was asked a question, very tough one to answer in front of an audience like this, and also in front of all the brands. So he was kind of in a dilemma. Should I say that we are being paid okay, or and most of us would like to hear that we are not being paid okay. But then I think he took a point that to please the customer rather than talking about speaking his mind. I don't know. I'm just guessing. So it could be true, may not be true. But I believe that's a way forward. That would be a nice thing to have for all the manufacturers of the world. They would probably get the right kind of prices, and the emphasis on training the workers, also upgrading the skills, and also the middle management. Since you mentioned that I'm the director and a professor of IBA and business, we at IBA, we are having a program for almost 2 years now where we are training the middle management, almost 1,000 we are training. And the next the renewal that we are having with ADB, World Bank, Asian Development Bank and the Minister of Finance is going to train 2,500 middle managers all together from the industry. So I can look at it as an improvement of mentality towards this industry, that we should have a trade manpower, which we were not having maybe, or even if we're having, those are all individual. It's a national focus that is being seen going on here. So that is encouraging, and I believe more and more the Fashion Institute, who was being asked for the donors to support, that was another thing that we should do. I think what was being said here is that the technology is there, the industry, this is a unique island which is state of the art. Rest of the things are not as unique, but this in this RMG sector is unique and state of the world, and world-class island, you can say. So we want the rest of it to be like that, and I would be hopeful, as all of you are, that going forward we will be having more and more investment, and we will have more and more successes in this sector. Thank you very much for asking me to talk a few words about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your valuable insights, and thank you so much to all of our panelists for your valuable time and insight.